Welcome to Creation Crochet, where beautiful is easy.
Okay, today we are going to learn how to do a herringbone half double crochet. I have created a foundation row here, and this is a foundation herringbone half double crochet. You can watch my tutorial on how to do this. The link is in the description below, or you could use any stitch, a foundation half double crochet, foundation single crochet, or you can chain, and you will simply work into the chains. So to begin, you are going to chain 2 and turn your work. And that's going to set you up to work your first or next row. Yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull through the stitch, end the second loop on the hook. I lost that there. Can be a little tricky, so you can do it in one fluid motion of pulling through both the stitch and that middle loop, and that will leave you with 2 loops on your hook. And then you simply yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull through the stitch, end the next loop on the hook, and then yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops. I'm just going to complete a couple more. Yarn over, pull through that middle stitch, yarn over and pull through 2. Now you can, as I said, do it in one motion where you just pull through the stitch and the middle loop on the hook at the same time, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2. Or you can do it in 2 separate motions. I find that when you do it in 2 separate motions, it's a little bit easier because you can use your finger to hold that stitch in place, and it gives you a little bit better of a stitch definition. So you work in the same manner all the way down to the end. Now you do not crochet into the chain 2 because that was a turning chain 2 that does not count as a stitch. So you work all the way down into the last half double crochet. Sorry, the last herringbone half double crochet. Okay, I've worked almost all the way down to the end. I have that last stitch to work into, so my last herringbone half double crochet. Actually, did that stitch wrong. And now to work the next row, I'm going to do my turning chain 2 and turn my work. The first stitch is worked into that first stitch there. It's the same place where you did your chain 2, because that, again, that chain 2 does not count as a stitch. And then you just continue to work again all the way to the end, and do not work into the turning chain 2. Okay, I've done a few more rows just so that you can get a better idea of what that looks like. And there are a couple things I want to show you. One thing that is very important when you are doing this stitch is that you don't work it too tightly because it will really shrink down the height of the stitch. So when you do your yarn over and insert and pull through, that part you work completely normally as you normally would do any stitch. I do want to point out that my hook is parallel to the fabric. I don't have it up really high and I don't have it low. If you do this too low or pull from this type of angle, which is actually hard for me to even do, it really pulls this tight and doesn't make this stitch high enough. So you can even see just that little bit that this stitch will be lower than these, especially if you continue working in that way. If you do 1 or 2 too tight, it doesn't really make a big difference, but if you do the whole row that tightly, it definitely changes the height of your stitches. So you want to make sure that 1, your hook is parallel to the fabric, and 2, that you don't pull too tightly. So how I keep myself from doing that is I hold the base of this stitch here, so that was the yarn over. So I yarn over and insert and I pull through. Now I'm going to hold the base of that stitch right there, and then I pull that loop through the middle loop. And that ensures that I didn't do it too tightly. And when I pull through those 2 loops, I also want to make sure I am not working too tightly. I've seen a couple people make some of my designs that use this stitch and they don't properly check their gauge for their rows and they just continue on without checking. And if they work too tight, then they're going to get a garment that doesn't fit. So you may want to practice a little bit just till you get the tension correctly. And of course, whatever pattern you are doing, you want to make sure that your gauge is correct. And just as I said, keep your hook parallel. And you want to do this with all of your crochet stitching. It gives you the best stitch definition and it is the best way to get gauge. Just keep working in that manner. The other thing I wanted to show you is how to tell the right side of your work from the wrong side of your work. Usually when you do a foundation stitch, which is how I began this piece of fabric here, that counts as your first row. So this would be your second and your third, your fourth and your fifth and your sixth. Since your first row, which is an odd number, is the right side, then all of the rows that are odd are also going to be right side rows, and all of the rows that are even are going to be wrong side rows. So you can see here, this was row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, and that puts us on a wrong side row. The next row we do will be even, and it will show a little bit better how you can count your rows. Okay, now I have 7 rows completed. This was our first row or our foundation row. And then every 2 rows will create a complete ridge. So it is easier to count your rows in 2s when working with this pattern. So 2, 4, 6, plus our foundation row is 7. The correct or right side of your fabric, you will always be able to see the tops of both of these stitches, or both loops of the stitch. And then when you are on the wrong side, you will only be able to see one loop or the back loop at the top of the row. Thank you for watching my tutorial on the Herringbone Half Double Crochet. Today in this video, I used Red Heart Soft in the conch color, and I used my Furls Forest Green hook. This is their Odyssey series. I use the size J, 6.0 millimeter, and this color is forest green with a gold tip. These hooks can be purchased on furlscrochet.com and the yarn can be purchased at redheart.com.